Have you ever met a man who seemed completely interested in the relationship until things started getting serious? Suddenly he pulls away, he becomes distant, he stops talking about the future, or maybe he ends the relationship altogether. From the outside, it looks confusing, sometimes it even looks selfish. But after more than 20 years in clinical psychology and psychotherapy, I've learned something very important. Most men who fear commitment aren't afraid of commitment itself, they're afraid of what commitment represents. They're afraid of vulnerability, they're afraid of dependence, they're afraid of losing themselves. And for many men, they're terrified of experiencing the same emotional pain they've spent many years trying to avoid. So, today I'm going to explain the psychology behind commitment fear, where it comes from, how it damages relationships, and most importantly, what men can do to overcome it and build healthy, lasting love. One of the biggest misconceptions about commitment is that it's simply a matter of finding the right person. Many people believe that when someone truly meets the right partner, fear just disappears. Clinical experience suggests something very different, though. For many men, commitment anxiety follows them from relationship to relationship. The faces change, the circumstances change, but the fear remains. And that's because the issue is often internal rather than relational. The problem isn't necessarily the partner. The problem is emotional, the emotional meaning attached to the commitment itself. So commitment means vulnerability. And one of the most common themes I see in therapy is that commitment requires, that it does, of course, require vulnerability. And vulnerability is difficult for many, many men. Because from an early age, many men are taught, and their boys are taught to be self reliant. Handle it yourself. Don't complain. Don't cry. Don't show weakness. Stay strong. Over time, emotional independence becomes part of their identity. But intimacy requires the opposite. Healthy relationships require emotional openness. They require allowing another person to matter. And when someone matters deeply, they gain the power, of course, to hurt us, right? So many men are afraid of commitment, okay? And they're afraid of being emotionally exposed. So, underneath commitment fears often is a fear of course, rejection. So when a relationship remains casual, there's less emotional risk. Okay, you can keep one foot out the door. You can maintain emotional distance. You can protect yourself, but commitment changes the equation. Now you're invested. Now your heart's involved. Now losing the relationship would hurt. For men who've experienced betrayal, abandonment, painful divorce, infidelity, significant rejection, commitment can trigger old emotional wounds. Their nervous systems remember the pain, even when a current partner is trustworthy, okay? Even when the relationship is healthy, the fear isn't always about the present or about the person, it's often about the past, okay? Another major factor is the fear of losing autonomy. Many men value independence. They take pride in solving problems themselves. They enjoy having control over their time and decisions. When commitment is viewed through a distorted lens, it can feel like you're giving up freedom. So instead of seeing partnership as connection, they tend to see it as restriction. Instead of seeing teamwork, they see obligation. Instead of seeing support, they anticipate pressure. So all this creates an internal conflict. Part of them wants the love, part of them wants freedom, and they mistakenly believe that they can't have both. So, in attachment theory, one of the most common patterns associated with commitment fear is avoidant attachment. Avoidant individuals often learn early in life that relying on others wasn't emotionally safe. Perhaps caregivers were inconsistent, were not really present. Perhaps emotions weren't welcomed, right? Their voice wasn't heard. Perhaps vulnerability was met with criticism or neglect. So as adults, they often become highly self-sufficient. On the surface, they might appear confident or overly confident, but underneath, intimacy can feel quite threatening. And as relationships deepen, their nervous system begins to start signaling danger. Not because danger is actually present, but because closeness activates old attachment wounds. This often explains why some men become more distant precisely when relationships become more serious. Okay. Now, the tragedy of what is that avoiding commitment often creates the very loneliness men are trying to avoid. Fear promises protection, but protection also comes at a price. So many men avoid vulnerability because they avoid deeper connection, they avoid potential heartbreak, but they also miss the opportunities for love and that deep connection and closeness that they do desire. And over time, many men find themselves just repeating the same cycle: initial attraction, growing connection, fear, and then withdrawal, and then ultimately regret. And then the cycle starts over again, and the cycle continues until the underlying issues are addressed, if ever. Okay. So, how do men overcome their commitment fear? Well, the first step is awareness. You cannot change what you don't understand. So you need to ask yourself, what am I actually afraid will happen? Most men initially answer with surface level concerns. They would answer this with a surface level concern, but deeper reflection often reveals fear of rejection and abandonment and loss of identity, failure, or emotional pain. Okay, that's what they're going to feel when they dig deeper, or that's what's going to come up. The second step is learning emotional regulation. Fear is not a sign that something is wrong. Fear is an emotion. Emotions are information. They should be understood and not automatically obeyed. Okay. The third step is challenging old beliefs. Many men unconsciously believe if I depend on someone, I'll get hurt. If I open up, I'll lose power. If I commit, I'll lose myself. These beliefs often develop from painful experiences, but they are not universal truths, and that's what you got to understand. Healthy relationships don't require losing yourself. They require bringing your authentic self into the relationship. Okay, so the role of therapy, this is where it comes in. This is where therapy can be quite transformative. Commitment fear is rarely solved through logic alone. Most men already know that they want connection, but the challenge is that old emotional patterns continue to override that desire. Therapy helps to identify the root causes. It helps attachment wounds. It helps develop emotional security. And it helps men learn that intimacy and independence are not opposites. They can coexist. A healthy relationship allows both people to remain individuals while building a life together. So if you fear commitment, it doesn't mean you're broken. It doesn't mean you're incapable of love, and it doesn't mean that you'll never have a healthy relationship. It often means that somewhere along the way, your mind learned that closeness was simply dangerous. The good news is that what is learned can actually be unlearned. Okay? So when men understand their fears instead of running from them, they can gain the opportunity to create something many deeply want. A relationship built not on fear, but on trust. Not on avoidance, but on connection. Not on self-protection, but on genuine emotional intimacy. And that's where lasting love begins. So if you found this video to be informative in any kind of way, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.